welcome back to Premiership Predictions, week 2 of me doing this. Before I get on to this week's games, I'm just going to talk about last week's games, just do a little recap on how well I did. And the answer to that question is not very well, really. I got one perfect result, which came in the Fulham-Leeds game, which finished Fulham 3-2 against Leeds. And then the other two games that I got a correct result was no big surprise. Man City beating Brighton by 3-1. Wasn't actually that far off for getting that score right as well. I said 3-0 and it was 3-1. Maybe I should have given Brighton a goal because they've done well away from home at the big teams this season. They went to Old Trafford, scored 2 goals, went to Anfield and scored 3. So yeah, maybe I should have given them a goal. And then the other one was the Monday Night Football, and I predicted a West Ham 2, Bournemouth 1, and it was 2-0. So again, not too far off, but yeah, it's what it is. Hopefully this week I'll do better. So let's go to the first game. So the first game of the weekend is Leicester City up against Manchester City, and Leicester come into this game actually in some good form. They've won their last 2 games with 2 clean sheets, and they've also got 4 clean sheets out of their last 5, which is a big improvement on how they started the season, where they were conceding a lot of goals. They went to Tottenham and conceded 6, Arsenal 4, Brighton 5. So yeah, they've definitely improved defensively, and obviously they're winning games now as well. They've always got great players in their team. Harvey Barnes, Tielemans, Vardy. So they really never should be down at the bottom. And I think now they'll, come away from that relegation zone and, fight for maybe in the top half this season. This is obviously a different game. It's obviously Man City, but I think they'll come into this game with a bit more confidence than they would have, a few weeks ago, before those games. They'll feel that they can actually maybe get something out of it. They'll have the home support behind them. It's an early kickoff, so them games are always hard to call sometimes. Even if it's Man City, we know how well Man City are, but you never know. On Leicester's day, they've done it a few times against Man City in the past. I remember one game, I think it was at the City of Manchester. They won that game 5-2. So you never know. Man City bounced back after their defeat against Liverpool by beating Brighton last week 3-1. I'm not sure if Haaland's going to be fit for this game. He had a knock in midweek, but I think even if Haaland, is a big player for them, but I still think even if they didn't have Haaland, I think they can still get the win here. The last game last year was 6-3 to Manchester City, so that was a high scoring game. So I don't know if it'll be a high scoring game as last season. But I think it'll be close though. I think it'll be a closer game. Just because City and Leicester City now, are finding making sure teams are finding it hard to beat them. And I think this will be a close one. But I do think they're going to lose. I'm going to go for Leicester City 1, Man City 2. So the second game of the weekend is Bournemouth up against Tottenham. Both these teams come into the game on the back of 2 defeats in their last 2 games. So, yeah, both teams will want to bounce back here with a win. Bournemouth on a even worse run of form at the moment because they've only won 1 game in 6. But they've had okay start to the season. They're currently 14th, which is not, that bad considering that they got promoted last year. So they'll be fairly happy, but they want to make sure they get some points on the board soon. They won't want to get dragged into that bottom 3 because, when you start losing games, 3 or 4 in a row, the confidence could go, and then, before you know it, you're down there in the bottom 3 and it's hard to get out of it. They've got some good players. They've actually surprised me this season a bit as well. I did predict them to go down. I think they could still go down, but they've shown me that they could actually compete in this league, and they've got a chance of staying up this year. Tottenham will come into the game, on the back of 2 defeats, but also they'll be down after midweek as well. For me, I watched the game against Sporting Lisbon, and it's a clear goal. For me, it's not offside, and they'll be very down after that because they they thought they scored, and last minute winner. And now they have to go to Marseille and get something to qualify. So they have to pick themselves up. The last couple of weeks are not being great, but they've started well before that. Before the Man U game, they had a decent start to the season. They were up in there. They still are in the top three. Behind Arsenal and Man City. So, considering like they've lost their last 2 games, it's not been too bad, but they want to make sure this is not 3 defeats on the bounce, because then the pressure will start getting to them, and everyone will start saying the same thing. It's the same old Tottenham. So they want to make sure they bounce back here with a win. And against Bournemouth, they've got a really good record actually. In their last 10 games, they've won 7 out of the 10 games. They've also scored 25 goals, so they do like scoring against Bournemouth. I don't think they're going to score that many in this one. I think they'll win, but I think it will just be a 2-0 to Tottenham. Next up is Brentford against Wolves. Both these teams are in not great form at the moment, with 1 win in 6, and both coming off the back of 4-0 defeats in their last game. So yeah, it's not great times at the moment for both teams, but I worry more about Wolves though, really, in the long term. They haven't got a proper manager at the moment, after they sacked the previous manager. Stephen Davis is just there for the short term. There's quite a lot of unrest with the owners at the moment, with the fans, so that's a bit of a problem as well. And also, they're not scoring enough goals. They only scored 5 goals this season, which is the fewest out of all the teams in the league. They brought Diego Costa to try to solve that problem, but at the moment it's not really worked out that well. Costa was a good player at Chelsea, but I don't think he's the same player as he was at Chelsea. So a bit of a worry for Wolves this season. There's always that one team that could go down that you don't expect, and maybe Wolves could be that team. Brentford, I don't worry too much about. They've had an okay start to the season. They're in 11th position. They've had some good wins this season. It was a bad defeat last time, but I wouldn't worry too much about them. They've got some really good players, and they do normally give teams a game. It was just last week was one of those where it was a bit of a bad defeat, but I think they'll bounce back with a win here though. I'm going to go for a Brentford 2, Wolves 1. Next up is Brighton up against Chelsea. Graham Potter returning to his old club. And since Graham Potter left Brighton to go to Chelsea, they've not been in great form, Brighton. With only 1 win in their last 6, only scored 1 goal in their last 3, which came last week against Man City, so it's not that bad. And I don't worry about them too much. They're currently in 9th, and they've had a decent start to the season. That was more when Graham Potter was there. So, I think the effects of him leaving has affected the squad a little bit. I think they'll be fine, though, this season. I think they'll have no problems about relegation or anything. They'll be probably mid-table, maybe even top half. I really do like Brighton as a team, actually. They've got some really good players. Gross, Trossard, Danny Welbeck. Their defence is pretty solid as well. But they want to make sure they get a win soon. And I'm sure that it just takes time, really, because it's a new manager, probably a different way of playing. So they'll be fine. But in this game though, Chelsea come into this game on the back of 2 draws, but still they are in good form still. Before that, they won their 3 games in a row. They're currently still second in the form table, but they want to make sure they get a win soon as well, because the longer you don't get wins, the confidence could go as well, and it could get a bit of pressure on the team and the manager. So I think this will be a really close game actually. I don't see a lot of the teams. Brighton are normally good at home, but I'm going to go for a close Chelsea 2-1. The next game is Crystal Palace against Southampton. These two teams are fairly close in the league. Crystal Palace are in 13th, Southampton are in 16th, and just 1 point separates them. Crystal Palace, they're one of those teams where I think they're too good to go down, but also probably not good enough to get European positions, so they're always going to be comfortably mid-table. which will be a worry though in the long term because I think they will end up losing their best players. You know, Wilfred Sahar, Eze will end up probably leaving soon. You know, because I think for me they're probably better than Crystal Palace. I think they could go on to bigger teams. So yeah, I think they'll be obviously fine this season. They've had an okay start to the season. You know, mid-table is probably where you expected them. But yeah, Southampton, not been in great form. They did get a draw last week, but it was only one win in six. So yeah, for me this season I said they'll go down. And I still think they could. Yeah, I just think they struggle for goals and stuff, and yeah, I just got a feeling this season they'll go down. You know, the last few seasons they've always been like down there. I've got away with it, but I just think this season could be the season they go down. Against Palace, it's been actually fairly close in the past. So Southampton got 4 wins, Palace 3 wins, and 3 draws. So again, I think this will be really close, but I'm going to go with a Palace 1-0. The next game is Newcastle up against Aston Villa. Newcastle have had a really good start to the season, unbeaten in 12, with only one loss this season. That came against Liverpool, and even in that game they played really well and deserved at least a draw, so they were very lucky not to win that, also draw that I mean. Yeah, and also they've gone to, well, they played Man City at home and got a 3-3 draw. They went to Old Trafford, got a 0-0. So yeah, they've got some really big results this season. They're currently in the top 4, joint top 4 with Chelsea. So yeah, really good start to the season, and I think they've got a good chance this season of maybe getting to the Europa League or the Conference League. I think the Champions League might be a step too far this season, but I think if they've got Europa League or Conference League, I think they'll be fairly happy. It'll be a good progression from last season. You know, they've got a lot of money to spend now, you know, with the new owners. So I think eventually they are going to be up that maybe top 4 and then maybe even the league as well in the future. But yeah, I think they'll be very happy. I think Eddie Howe's a really good manager, and I think I think they'll do really well this season. But they're up against in this game, they're up against the Villa team that have just got a great win last week. You know, after sacking their manager, it's crazy sometimes how it happens. You know, a team that can't buy a win. Can't even score goals. They have the fewest. Behind Wolves, they have the fewest goals scored this season, and then they're going to score 4 in one game. So yeah, it's crazy how that happens sometimes. This will be a tough ask though, I think, because they've not got a great record at St James's Park. Their last win there was in 2005. So yeah, I expect Newcastle winning this game. I'm gonna go for a 3-1 to Newcastle. So the next game is Fulham against Everton. Fulham will be very happy with how they've started the season after getting promoted back up last year, currently in 7th position. They've started the season with 5 wins, 3 draws and 4 losses. So yeah, I think they'll be very happy with how they've done so far. They've won their last 2 games as well. In their last 6, they've got 3 wins as well. So yeah, I think they'll have a decent season. I don't think they're going to fight for Europe. I think that might be a step too far, but possibly a top 10 could be possible with how they've started the season if they can keep it up for most of the season. They're up against the Everton team, who are hard to predict sometimes. They did win their last game, but before that they lost 3. And then before that, they won 3. So you never know with Everton how they're going to what team's going to turn up really. But they do have a good record against Fulham. They've won 7 out of the last 10. So they'll be coming to this game with a bit of confidence. But maybe this Fulham team is a bit different to the previous seasons. So I don't think it'll be an easy game for Everton. There's actually not much to choose between the teams. There's only 3 points that separates them in the league. So I think it'll be a close game, but I think Fulham will win by 2-0. So the next game is Liverpool up against Leeds. Liverpool are coming into this game on the back of a bad defeat last week against Forest, 1-0. Being a Man U fan, I was very happy with that, but I was a bit surprised that they did lose that. Dean Henderson on loan for Man United had a great game, so yeah, it was good for him. But yeah, they've had a mixed start to the season, Liverpool, really. Yeah, you don't know what to expect from them so far. They've had 4 wins, 4 draws and 3 losses. They obviously beat Man City and then obviously lose to Forest. So yeah, it's been a strange start for Liverpool this season. They're up against the Leeds team, who are not in great form. They've not won in their last 6. They lost their last game as well. And they had a really good start to the season, actually. They won the first 3 and 5. But yeah, lately it's not going their way, really. They've not won since August. They're currently bottom of the form table as well. So yeah, it's probably a bit worrying times for Leeds as well. And they go to Anfield with a not great record either. They've not won there since 2001. And in their last 4 games, since they came back into the Premier League, they've had some really bad defeats there. They've conceded 14 goals, and last year they lost 6-0 and 3-0 as well. So yeah, they really don't like going to Anfield, and I think Liverpool will be up for this. They want to bounce back after last week's defeat, and I think they will. I see a lot of goals in this game. I think Leeds are conceding a lot of goals, but also Leeds can score, one or two on their day as well. But I think at the moment they just can't keep clean sheets. So I'm going to go for a very high scoring game. I'm going to go for Liverpool 5, Leeds 2. So the next game is Arsenal up against Nottingham Forest. Arsenal come into this game after drawing last week at Southampton. A game which they will be a bit disappointed with, actually, because first half they played really well, created a lot of chances, and the second half Southampton came into it and got the draw. So a bit disappointed, but also it was only their second time they've dropped points this season. So it's not the end of the world, but they want to bounce back here with a win. They could come into the game in second though, because City will play before. So I think City will win. So I think they will come into this game in second place. So they'll have a chance to go back to the top as well. So I think Forest, I think a great win last week, beating Liverpool. As I said before, didn't expect that, and I think they'll be very confident coming to this game. After that win, but it's a different game. Away from home as well. Last week was at home with the fans behind you, so I think this will be a completely different game, and I don't expect them to take any points out of this game. They've not actually met in the league, for a long time, because they've not been in the Premier League, but they met in the cup actually 4 times in the last 6 years, and they've had 2 wins apiece. So that's the only thing I can look on when I look at the history of this game. In the recent history anyway. But anyway, my score prediction for this game is going to be a Arsenal 3-0. So the last game of the weekend is my team, Manchester United, up against West Ham. We come into this game after drawing at Chelsea last week, which normally is a great result away to Chelsea. But just a bit frustrated after creating so many chances in the first half and just not taking them, really. And I think that could be the thing that could affect our chances for getting top 4 this year, just not finishing teams off. We've had a couple of games this season already that we'll not be able to do that. And if we get a striker, then I'll be more confident of getting top 4. I think it's going to be really close to that top 4 this year. So maybe if we get a striker in the next transfer window, it could be the big difference for us getting over top 4 and us not getting over top 4. But I'm fairly happy with the start to the season. After the first 2 games, it was really bad, but since then, we've done really well. Obviously, apart from the City game, we've played even the games we haven't won. We've done really well. The Newcastle, Chelsea, we didn't win them games, but we played really well. So I can't be too disappointed. It's his first season for the manager. It'll take time for him to get his ideas across to the team, and I'm not too disheartened by the season so far. It'd be nice to be maybe in the top 4. there's a chance we could go top four this weekend, but it depends on the results now. But as long as we're we're not too far off, coming to the new year, then I would feel really positive, to go from next year to get top four. Anyway, we play West Ham, who had a really bad start as well to their season. They lost their first 3 games, but since then they've done really well. They're currently in 10th, and they've only lost 1 in 5, and that was against Liverpool. And even in that game, they played really well, missed a penalty, and probably very unlucky not to get at least a draw out of that game. But West Ham this season, when they've lost games even, they are normally by a 1 goal, 2 goals normally. So they're hard to break down. They don't normally get any big thrashings. It's normally very close. So I expect this to be the same as well, because I think they'll come to Old Trafford and play on the counter attack. I think they'll defend quite deep and try and frustrate us really, a bit like Newcastle did really. But they've got players who can very, very dangerous. Declan Rice, Bowen, Schumacher, Shusek, also Antonio that can walk off the bench and make a difference. Cresswell's really good at free kicks as well. So we've got to be careful, because they have got some really good players in their team that could make a difference, and so we've got to watch out for that. But I'm confident we get the win here in this game. West Ham come into this game, though, not with a great record at Old Trafford. They haven't won there since 2007. They did win there in the Cup last year to knock us out of the League Cup, but we did have a weakened team, so I wouldn't put too much into that. But I expect this to be a really close game actually. I think we'll win it, but I think it was going to be very nervy. I think it'll be one of those games again where it's going to be very, very nervy for the supporters. But I'm going to go for a 1-0 to Manchester United. So that's all the predictions for this week. Hopefully I'll do better than last week. Hopefully Man United will get a win, as I predicted. And have a good weekend, guys, and I'll see you soon. Thank you.